Talk shoes.
Recorded live.
Hey, welcome to the Wednesday night call. Today is the 11th. Yes, it's the 11th, right? Yeah, time goes fast. And on the American Liberties Talk Show with David Maryland. This past week, I've been real busy with getting something launched, not relative to what we discuss here on Talk Show, but it has everything to do to help support many of you on what we talk about on Talk Show. And this coming week, I'm going to be extremely busy. And, it's the 8th. Yes, I'm looking at October calendar. Thank you very much. Okay, like a little behind there. That's just what I do sometimes. Things go beyond me. There we go. Now I'm looking at the proper calendar. And what we intend on doing, or what American Liberties intend on doing, is helping a lot of people that are financially devastated mainly by the alphabet group, the criminals, and but that's that will be down the road, hopefully not too much longer. And talk is talk, and action prevails over talk, and so I won't say too much about it until it happens. But things are looking mighty good. So I'm extremely happy about that, and I got to thank many of you, as well as many other people that don't even know about what we're doing here, because their frame of mind, they're not interested in law or justice. They're just willing to do what needs to be done to get, so they can watch their ball games and other things. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to David while I put myself on mute and choke for a while. And Dave, you on?
Of course I am, Chris. I just wanted to give a dramatic pause.
You did good. You did good. All right. I'm going to go ahead and pause myself, and you go ahead and go.
Great. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the American Liberties Call, November 8th, 2017. My name is David Maryland. Nothing you'll hear me say is intended as legal advice. Anything that sounds like that to you, just consider something somebody else might do on a planet far, far away with law matters. It doesn't matter here. I prove it on a daily basis. Believe it. My YouTube channel is taken off. Finally, it has officially caught the attention of a few people. About 5 months ago, it might not be 5 months ago, it might be less, I appeared on a radio show with Dave Toulis out of Tennessee, and we focused on just right to travel, motor vehicle code, and the show is in the archives at my TalkShoe channel, 59615. And since then, I've gone from, approximately 12,000 views on my YouTube channel to 29,000 views. 29,000, that's like 15,000 or more views in just the last few weeks. That's fantastic. Not one of them, these viewers, has purchased materials. So my right to travel video was around 5,700 when I did that show, and now it's at 6,700. So it's had 1,000 views in just the last few weeks. And Key to the Code is over 6,000. My Section 83 tutorial is over 2,000. My Internal Revenue Ruling 2007-19 is over 3,000 views. That's an important video. It's only an hour long, hour 9 minutes. And Internal Revenue Ruling 2007-19 is the one where the IRS's Office of Chief Counsel says Section 83 provides for the determination of what is to be included in gross income. It's quoted. You'll see that excerpt on the GOV'T federal income taxation page. If you just open that federal income taxation page, Control F means find, and a little window pops up, and in the window, just put 2007-19, and it'll bring you right to that excerpt. In fact, why don't I do that right now? GOV'T.com. Where are you? Here we are. Here's the, okay. Lift and separate. Click repeat, and bingo. Control F. 2007-19. Section 83 provides for the determination of the amount to be included in gross income and the timing of the inclusion when property is transferred to an employee or independent contractor in connection with the performance of services, according to the IRS. Just fantastic. So I wrote a book about it. Everybody knows about it. Nobody buys it. And which leads me to kind of a punchline about my YouTube page. Go through my videos, all of them. I didn't say view them, just go through my main videos page and find the 2 least watched videos to date. The lowest head count, they went up with the original few videos. They're in my first few videos. So they've had 3 years to propagate among the population, and they are the least viewed of all of my videos. And what's the title of them? Citizens Oversight Commission. Nobody wants to know. That's why nobody buys my courses. The American doesn't want to know. So no matter what I prove in these videos and all the great comments I get, I've had to totally change the way I look at law because of you. Another person says, utterly amazing you don't have more subscribers considering the quality of the content you produce. Okay, you going to grab the bull by the horns, American breath? And the American just doesn't want to pick up the mantle of civic duty. It's terrible. And here am I, just pissed away 29 years, soon to be 30 on civic duty. And my efforts were pissed away because it takes more than one person. And all this time, while I've been doing what I do, I've been trying to get others interested in it. Yeah, you better believe it. Can't. Can't. There's no way to keep the doors open on this endeavor. There is no way. So the American that simply doesn't care is my doom, the bane of my existence. Now that my existence does not concern really these efforts, I'm moving on. And if that crowdfunding thing pays off, a few weeks ago, I got nudged way closer to retirement from all this. Just things I don't need in my life. And so it's too bad. But you can't justify continuing in this effort when it is fruitless. Helping one person at a time, that's not what I'm in this for. I'm in this to change the country because that's what my findings do. But you can't impress an American. The Patriot movement got there first. and their heads are full of like crab bait. It is terrible. So it's yards and yards of BS. That fact, it haunts my existence that my 30 best years were wasted on a country where no one even wants to know. And yet, it's a very noble pursuit. I'm going to use just the law. I'm going to prove the government's violating it. I'm going to take up that issue with the government. I'm going to confront. I'm going to try to keep them from screwing other people along the way. I'm going to write courses to spread my knowledge. Who cares? Oh, look, it's Beyonce's crotch. I got to go. And you lose them. Totally distracted by the filth and societal and cultural decay. Family dysfunction rules the day. And no one cares. So retirement is at hand. If this crowdfunding thing pays off, Dave goes poof, except for a few people that'll be able to reach me. And it's likely that the amount of interaction that people can even have with me is going to really just fall right off the chart. So it's too bad, but no one can complain. Why waste more of my life on civic duty? You can't do it alone, and I can't interest anybody in it. So, c'est la vie. And you look through my videos, and the two least watched are the ones on citizens oversight. Boom. Yeah. So I have not yet read the 9th and 11th Circuit decisions, which I'm positive are identical in structure and probably in form. I'll bet you they alluded to the same statutes the same way. They probably colluded and said, okay, on the 11th Circuit, rewrite these 5 paragraphs slightly and from the one that we just wrote. So they can't say that we wrote the same brief. And I'm going to say it anyway. And when I've read both of those, I'm going to put those together with the Indiana Tax Court final decision and review all 3 in one video and continue to not sell materials. No matter how much, apparently, you look at the web, that's just the stuff I give away. We, Chris and I, our office, we are that charitable. Look at how much information we give away. Lowell B. Craft says it has constitutional significance. I'm a diligent student of the law. Important information. I got that show on my YouTube channel. You can listen to it anytime. August 2nd, 2017. How long ago was that? That was like 6 years ago. No, just a couple months ago. So, I've known Dave for 15 years. Diligent student of the law. You need more than that to buy my materials, or you're just not willing to take it up. Chris, if you could unblock the chat for me and the new arrival, T. Darling. I do, T. Darling, thank you for tuning in. I do want to get you on the phone with Chris on a recording. Your name doesn't have to be disclosed, but to share for 5 minutes or so recording what you're able to do after having acquired my writing and filing citizens criminal complaints course and my drive-by litigation course. She's in California and she's taking prisoners and just pushing these buttons. And she said when we spoke a few days ago that a couple of public servants have actually contacted her about the criminal complaints that she's filing. And Chappie says he would like to hear any update. If you tune in to the call with the phone today, T. Darling, and offer a testimonial, try to save some for the recording you have to do later with Chris. Don't do it all here on TalkShoe. But if you want to call in and share with everybody that, first and foremost, do you feel like you're on the defense like we've always done with a traffic ticket or a zoning infraction or something, whatever? Rub up against government and you just get that feeling of, I got to play defense. I got to defend myself. First and foremost, when you got my courses, do you feel uplifted to where you might even be able to level the playing field? That's the most important thing first. Level the playing field so at least they take one step backward and we can talk about this servant breath before your world gets destroyed. That would be nice. Like inquiring first, do you believe you have a duty to file tax returns? Because we haven't received one from you for a few years. Boy, wouldn't that be nice? But the first thing you hear, here's your indictment. You might be held pending trial, so your life will be destroyed before you even go to trial. And if you don't plead guilty, we're going to indict your spouse too. Can you see the difference? Hey, we haven't received a tax return from you in a few years. Tell us why. Well, I'm in compliance with the law. Section 83 says everything's a cost. Well, that's frivolous. Here's your penalty. Then you got to appeal it administratively. Going, what's this? Well, how did Section 83 operate? And they go, well, you're frivolous. Here's your notice of deficiency. Go to tax court. You go to tax court. You can't raise this issue. They'll penalize you. So you got to go all the way to appeal. How much do you have to learn about court rules to do that as the individual of ordinary intelligence who isn't even involved in law until something like this happens? You lose. And servants are proud of that. And when you get my courses, when you listen to the way I speak, it's always the same laws I mentioned, the same crimes I allege, just different servants pulling them. I've done all the work. All you have to do is find the conduct that plugs them into the framework of essentially what is my treatise on enforcement regarding illegal revenue streams, motor vehicle code, state income tax, federal income tax, including Social Security. And if you want to see, when you get a memorandum from the government, it's different than when you get a memorandum from me. From the earliest writings, I knew I was writing for people whose knees would knock when they got into court. And so I always put everything in the memorandum. If a case was really good on a certain topic, I wouldn't just cite the case. I'd take a paragraph out of the case and stick it in my memorandum. And that was so I could tell whoever I wrote the brief for, if your knees start to knock in court on a particular question, just tell them I defer to my pleadings. It's all in there. There. So I made sure everything was always in the pleadings. And so in my memorandums, you get half of an education. Then you go look up those cases and read in the fillers. But in a government's case, they'll just cite a case, a decision, and they won't really give you excerpts. Many in one memorandum anyway. So when you get my courses and I explain these topics and you see a memorandum, you understand this is not for the student, it's for the judge. Well, the judge doesn't want to hear from a student. I'm not writing something for you to learn by. I'm writing something for you to wield. And so it's written in the government's language, the language of jurisprudence. That's what the government wants to see when you go to court. But when you see a memorandum and you see the law quickly operate, and I didn't say case law. Yeah, I cite case law that tell you how to look at the law and point out certain things along the way that I think need pointed out, but then it's right back to statutes and regulations. And when you watch someone who can quickly explain how the law operates, you understand each one of these rules that you have to obey as you go through an argument in the statute, in the regulation, or in case law. Every one of those rules They are teeth on the gears that operate to make sure fairness prevails. Due process. And so I'm not familiar with all of the teeth on every gear that makes a Swiss watch run, but I have certain gears I can turn because there's a baseline, a set of conclusions that I've derived from this research and experience that show you can level the playing field in the areas we most often find ourselves engaged with government. That's my focus. Welcome, Oregano. My name is David Merlin. None of this is legal advice, and we're waiting for T. Darling to see if she's going to join the call. And I'm talking about my criminal intent course and the drive-by litigation course. Here's my website. That's how it reads right there every time, GOV'T and you'll see a product available, link inside the website, a federal income taxation page. Listen to these calls on 59615 and here on 87488. 59615 is my channel called No Confidence. And my YouTube channel, there's a link on GOV'T at the top of the menu column on the left that says YouTube 2. It'll take you to my YouTube videos. When you listen to all that stuff and hear all the different places I've gone in the law, especially there in my archive on 59615, there's so many different areas of the law that you'll hear calls about. And this is just the free stuff. Get my courses. Take my courses before you get in trouble. So at least you know what documents to go get from my courses in Microsoft Word so that you might start your own defense against a traffic ticket, a notice of levy, whatever. I don't really work on liens and levies for taxes, but when they are after you for money you don't owe. Motor Vehicle Code, Internal Revenue Code, state income tax, I have those covered. But then also you get into the law they're using in any particular instance and find out whether or not you can sue them for it, find out if they broke the criminal code by what they did. Like you ask for evidence in a case and they won't turn it over, and you know they have to have it, and yet they're after your liberty. They're using the mail. They're sending you stuff saying your next hearing is on such and such a date. Well, that's interstate commerce. So how is their plot to get you where they're violating court rules, suppressing evidence, or refusing to disclose evidence as the prosecutor? How is that not a conspiracy against your rights in violation of 18 U.S.C. 241, a federal felony? When someone commits a felony against you, don't you want to know what to do about it? That's what I teach. So, starting to recognize a crime. Listen to somebody who had gone to court a bunch to watch Patriot Movement litigants and their controversies in court for years. And he was on a first-name basis with the leader of this Patriot Movement organization and that one, this one over here, and they'd all gather at the symposium every year in California like they do, and they all knew him and he knew them, and they'd all talk during that symposium when they had their booth for their organization. It's a great big symposium. And he'll tell you right in that interview, I'm going to tell you about in a second, that he'd go to court all the time and he couldn't really tell how things were happening. But he could sense that that's not fair. Oh, that's not fair either. Right over there, that's not fair. What's going on here? Then he started taking my courses. He asked to be my promoter. That's how much he was learning. And then on GOV'T, get into the website, and on that list of bullet points on the left, the bottom one says play offense. Click on that. It'll take you to a tutorial about a court date where this man got to watch the reaction to my pleadings on the part of a judge named as a criminal defendant in a kidnapping complaint for a false arrest. He'll tell you in that call that I shocked the system with that set of pleadings. The judge couldn't wait to get out of the room and off the case. And the next judge did come in and settle things down and then dismiss the charges. And my only job was to get rid of the judge. And I only had 3 days to write those pleadings, but I was done and knew what I wanted to do when I heard what had happened to the man. And so listen to the interview. And he'll tell you that he didn't really he could sense the power of what I was telling him about the law on all these calls and in my courses, but he'd never really seen it in action. And he says, that day, basically, I clubbed the system like a baby seal with that set of pleadings that you see there. So what you see is me walking the walk. In 2007 or 2008, I can't remember what year that phone call was made to me on a Monday. But when this happened to the guy, for the reasons that it happened, I saw plenty of opportunity. I sprang into action with what I teach. I didn't deviate at all from what I teach, from the documents that you get in my courses in Microsoft Word. I went right to my courses, put a bunch of documents in one particular file for that client, and started amending the document and put the exhibits together. I used the tools I sell for that case. And he'll tell you in that recorded interview, I traumatized the judge. So open that tutorial. Go to GOV'T left-hand side menu column, click on Play Offense on those bullet-pointed links. And there's an audio command on that page that opens up. Just click on Play, the little forward arrow to the right, and listen to the interview. And that's what happened to that judge. And I used nothing but the tools I sell in those courses. And listen to the results. Do you want to stay sui juris and totally defenseless? Or do you want to level the playing field? I told him in advance, this is designed to get rid of that judge, but when the second judge sees what happened to the first one, the first thing he's going to say is, I don't want to feel like she feels. The second thing he's going to say is, oh, this is why she feels like that. I don't want a document like this filed against me. And so the judge went into that hearing after she recused herself 1 week later there and says with basically his demeanor, everybody should just calm down. What seems to be the problem? And the public defender, the guy didn't even ask for, stands up and says, I'm here to represent Mr. Centraletti. His speedy trial rights have been violated, Your Honor. And the judge looks to the prosecutor and says, is this true? You never get a judge like that. A real judge, the way they exist in America, would say, well, where's your motion? Where's your proposed order? The court's not in the habit of writing pleadings for you, counselor. But instead, he looks to the prosecutor and says, is this true? And the prosecutor says, I'll get back to you. Says, this afternoon, yes, sir. And that afternoon, the prosecutor calls the public defender, says the case is over. His speedy trial rights are violated. While they'd been messing around with him, refusing to arraign him correctly. But the second judge, I told him he's going to come in and say, everybody just calm down. and he's going to go slowly like I do. And you listen to the interview. I used nothing against that judge that isn't in my courses. And I used plenty of stuff in my courses that I did not use against that judge. Microsoft Word. It's waiting for you to learn it so you can walk around with boots on instead of tender bare feet on a barnacle-covered beach. That's the difference between equipping yourself with knowledge of the criminal code or standing out there saying, I'm sui juris to the third power. Put money on my books. I got to buy goodies off of the jail's commissary. That's the difference. That's the choice you're making. Chris, I see Northeast California is on the phone. I presume that is Darlene.
Hi, Dave. Hi,
Hello.
hi, everybody.
You're on the air. Hi. How are you?
Hi. Good. So, the drive-by litigation has changed my total thinking. I used to go into court defending myself, feeling like, if I just get them to understand this one thing, they'll see it my way. And I kind of thought that way for a long time, and it got to the point where I was drowning. They took my job from me, my kids from me. They wanted my life. And I had anxiety. I'm telling you, David, I was depressed, oh my goodness, for a really long time. And I've been going through this since 2014, 15, 16, 17, this 3 years. August 2014, this all started for me. And I got attorneys throughout the way, and every time I got an attorney, it got worse. I was doing better on my own, but so eventually I realized that on my own research, I found that attorneys are only allowed to lead you to the gallows. So after that, I knew I couldn't get one anymore, so I had to start learning more. And eventually, my motivation and my hate for them led me to your course. And I have to tell you that my anxiety is gone. I go into court looking for ways to how to get them. My thinking's totally different. I'm what you say, on the offense, and it's an attack. It's a totally different way of thinking.
Just a second. You're on the prowl.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And so you go in thinking totally different. Not that you have to defend yourself, that you're actually protecting yourself. And it's a totally different way of thinking. And because the system it's set up, it's not set up for people to defend themselves. It's rigged, so you go in thinking you have to defend yourself, and as soon as you do that, you play into their hands, and it's over. And the offensive strategy, attacking them, I'm telling you, just when you get done with your paper and you read what they've done to you, and you read it out loud, it just sounds awful. It sounds awful, but when you think of it different, if you think of it from the perspective of that's exactly the things they were doing to you. When I read my criminal complaints, I go, oh my God, this sounds horrible, but this is exactly what they were doing to me. And as soon as I put those things into I filed them into my court cases, I heard them up. I have 5 cases going on at once. So I filed them into 4 of the criminal ones because those were the ones where they were trying to take me to jail. And, David, you won't believe this. I called in last week, but they actually, the family court, because that was the last criminal complaint that I did. I finished that up last week. And one of the judges, it wasn't a judge, it was a commissioner from a different county, actually filed. They had a hearing somewhere, and he sent to this county's courthouse. I'm in Sacramento, California. He sent a vexatious litigant paper to the court. So when I went to file my criminal complaint in the family court, they said, you can't file anything here. You're a vexatious litigant. I said, well, that doesn't make any sense. Because a vexatious litigant, the other term for that is malicious prosecution. So how can I be the defendant and be vexatious when I'm defending myself? And so pretty much the first day I was totally unprepared for that. So I left, I let them deny me. I took the guy's name and I left. Luckily I had a witness there, so we left. And then I think the next day was the call last Wednesday. I called Chappie and and when they caught me off guard, I actually got into that defending mode. And after I got off the call last week, I went right back into offensive thinking. And I said, you know what? I need to file this criminal complaint. This is the last one. I have to file this. I went in, and by this time I had shared this with some friends, and they were scared for me. They're like, you know, if they're doing that to you, you shouldn't go back in there. I go, screw them. I'm not afraid of them. Let's see who else's name I'm going to add to this list. And so I went in there the next day, and the supervisor came. The guy totally recognized me. He goes, hold on a minute. The supervisor came, and she goes, yeah, you can't file any paperwork. I go, since when? She goes, since they made you a vexatious litigant. I said, that makes no sense. What's your name? She goes, oh, yeah, room 318. So I took her name, and I almost was about to leave, and I went to room 318, and I said, it's the administrative office. I said, what do you do when someone's violating your constitutional right to file a grievance with the court? She goes, well, what did they tell you? Because I knew the supervisor called up there. And I said, they said something in the computer is telling them that I can't defend myself. She called the real supervisor, and she met me down at the window, and she goes, well, what are you trying to file? I said, I'm trying to file my, I didn't say the criminal complaint. I saved that one for last. But I told her, I said, I'm trying to file my request for a public defender. And as soon as I said that, she goes, hold on, I'll get someone to file your paperwork. And and the one who filed it, he actually saw my complaints and stuff, and he said nothing. He filed it. That's it. Gave me my copies, and that's it. I'm waiting for my hearings, November 13th and November 17th.
If I could inject two things right here before I forget them. You can't file that. You're a vexatious litigant. If you have a witness, or if there's a counter behind you where people can go and date stamp receive their documents without bothering the clerk, it can all be stamped before they get to the counter type of thing, you go stamp it there. Here's what I would say. I would say, you've been served. I've got my certificate of service. You do whatever you want with government documents you've been served with. I'm going straight to the newspapers.
Oh,
that's
nice.
Okay. And then I would go to the newspaper saying the court is covering up criminal misconduct on the part of public servants by refusing to accept criminal complaints about the conduct. The judges are in charge of it. Okay, and rub it right off on the judiciary every time you can. The judiciary exists by the public perception of integrity alone. And you attack that integrity every single time. The reason you worked with, what you said worked with that judge this time, Chappie, by the way, never go national, always local. The reason that worked was because denial of counsel is termination of all jurisdiction.
Correct. That's all I knew to use that.
Hang on, please. That case is Johnson versus Zerbst, Z-E-R-B-S-T. It's the benchmark for denial of counsel. And it says right in that case, a denial of counsel at an important junction in a criminal proceeding constitutes a jurisdictional bar to further proceedings. So she knew the case is over if it's about a public defender. We'll get your paperwork on file, no problem. That's why that worked, just with that one mention. Now, about filing criminal complaints, what I would do is identify all the municipal employees, not the state employees. The judge is probably a state judge. Find out who receives their paychecks from a municipality. They are in a position to change the course of a tort in progress, and if they don't, they have established the tort as municipal policy, and therefore the individual actors are not only liable for tort, but the municipality is as well. So find out who makes paychecks from the municipality and put them on notice that you deny me access to the court to report criminal misconduct on part of the public servants. That's a conspiracy under 18 U.S.C. 241. It's a felony. And if you're trying to take my liberty, that's an attempted kidnapping and a felony. That means you could be subject to citizen's arrest for the rest of your life because it carries the death penalty and there's no statute of limitations on that. Reconsider. You see how I just leveled the playing field? Mm-hmm. You have your authority over there. I got my authority over here. I can arrest a felon. Period. It's on the website, all the case law in the world. So anyway, I want what I want you to take mostly from everything she just said, and she's going to continue here in just a second. You heard her first describe a situation I've lived in years on end, at times, clinical depression. This is what litigation does to you. It grinds you down. Lawyers deserve $200 an hour or more. But then you also heard on the same call, you heard her chuckle and admit to being a predator, looking on the prowl for public servants to file criminal complaints again. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, what was the name of that case? It was Johnson versus who?
Zerbst. Zerbst.
I think I've actually seen that one. So now I have a lot more confidence. They're never going to arrest me. I really wish I would have known this ahead of time. And hopefully for anyone who's listening who hasn't started this and is just being proactive, kudos to you, because the having a head start is crucial. Even though I can attest that no matter how crappy the situation is, these criminal complaints can help you start all over again. I was when I finally got my 4 criminal complaints, and the next hearing I had was a trial for where they wanted to put me in jail for resisting arrest. They wanted to put me in jail for 3 years for resisting arrest. What else did they say? Contempt of courts, child abuse. Oh, my goodness. I mean, they were just racking up the charges. So they added children charges to, when you look at my case, it looks awful what they were saying about me. And they were doing this because they added the children in because they wanted me to pay child support out here in California. And I don't owe any. And in order for them, and they were getting away with this because they changed my name on so I have a judgment of divorce where we don't pay child support. They know this, and they made a whole new judgment with a fake name. And so once I realized this, and I start doing your criminal complaints, I see the false pretenses. It's a crime to use someone else's name and send that into the mail. It's a crime to use someone else's name on information to force you to pay something. And this is the criminal complaint I just filed on Friday, and it's beautiful. It was a beautiful piece of work, so I have to say thank you so much. Oh, I wish I could see their face when they put in that CD for Exhibit B.
Okay, now, everybody that's listening, we just heard her do a third thing, okay? She chuckled over relief when she described how it's not what she used to be when they'd beat her down into a pulp, and now it's, and she chuckled. She just laughed about tagging their ass, pin the tail on the servant. She laughed about it. She's made the transition from utterly defenseless to code-pleading prowler. Cool.
Yeah. Yes, code-pleading it definitely is the way. And it's not so much code, it's also code-pleading, but how you write it. Totally just from reading these things and listening to you over and over and over again on the CD. I still listen to the CDs, and I hear different things every time I'm listening to it. And I forgot what I was going to say. Anyway, I forgot what I was going to say. I totally have a brain fart here. So it's not so much of knowing the pleadings and all these other things, the codes, and that's part of it. the other part that I really, really enjoy from the drive-by litigation is how to write paperwork. It looks beautiful. I actually enjoy reading my stuff now. And I've gone back to the past and read some of the things that I submitted years ago, and it's actually insane where you could tell the trauma my brain was in when I wrote that stuff, because it makes no sense whatsoever.
Also, that's hang on. That's a dark recollection, isn't it?
Yeah. It's
I've been
seeing
there.
what I did and seeing how they had me just totally. I was just totally in circles. I mean, and the paperwork just reflects that.
And then to be able to provide documents where you're talking the same way they talk, and it's directed right back at them, the way they talk about perps, you're talking the same way and structuring your documents the same way. It is babble, and they don't like it. They're political. You don't forget that element of a public servant. If it's unpopular for them to be on staff, they are off staff. And so you kill their popularity at the same time you're threatening handcuffs, okay? And you hear in just what you told you on just this call, the benefits of knowing code pleading. And she's actually laughed about it, knowing that in the future she can put them in a predicament if they do what they typically do to people. That's called leveling the playing field. Darling, have you seen the movie Jack Reacher?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. There's a bar fight. They confront him at the table, and they say, you want to do it here or outside? And he says, outside. And he takes 5 of them outside. This is Tom Cruise. And just about, he says, it's getting late, meaning this lead guy that's going to attack first. Why don't we get this on, huh? Because it's getting late. And the guy says, okay, and he kind of clenches up his fist, and then Tom Cruise says, remember, you wanted this. And then he beats the snot out of that guy, okay? And that right there, Jack Reacher in that movie. I don't like Tom Cruise. I got a bunch of his movies, but I can never watch them more than like once or twice. I just don't like him. But this movie is a good movie. I approach litigation the way he approaches somebody grabbing him by the arm. He'll throw your arm over the fence. You'll wonder where the hell it went before you can turn around and notice it's missing. That's what I try to be to public servants, so they don't want you in court. Don't ask for this anymore because you're going to get it every time you talk to me. That's what I'm trying to create for Darling in her controversy. It was beating the hell out of her. She's on the offense now. And don't cross her, she'll go to the newspapers. That's what everybody should be saying to one another about her. Because soon, I've complained to everybody. I can't get to the bottom of this. The judges know about it. I've got nowhere. I'm going to the newspapers. Share it with a local advocate. There's going to be pro bono law firms in places. And just say, I want to run my paperwork past you. I don't need to represent you or you to represent me or anything, but review my paperwork and the controversy. Do you see a lack of a foundation? You willing to represent me to this radio station over here? That gets their name out in the public. It makes their law firm look good. And at the same time, you got a pro bono person out there saying the judges are corrupt, man. Okay? So we should probably make it political. Go ahead. Finish the show. Why don't you? Unless somebody down here had a question earlier. They're off the call, Chris.
Well,
go ahead.
Last week, darling, you said that somebody got in touch with you that they were going to investigate this because of your complaints. Has anything derived from that?
So I got three letters back from these attorneys from the when you send out a complaint to the state, that these attorneys call you back, or I'm sorry, they don't call you back. These law firms actually send you these letters back saying, like when you send a letter out to a complaint about the police officers. So I sent those criminal complaints to the police. I sent them to a couple other different agencies, and I've gotten replies back from all of those except for the school. And so their attorneys are saying that they're looking into my complaints now. And I all I have is just their original papers saying that they're looking into my complaints, and so I guess we're just waiting. You know, I don't really know how long it would take, but
it sure
believe it or
not being contacted.
It does, because this summer I actually contacted all those places that I sent these before, where I sent my criminal complaints to, and I sent complaints all summer long, and as soon as I sent them, just as quick as I sent them, the next week they were sending me letters saying, we reject your claim, and we have no jurisdiction here. This is frivolous, and this is, this doesn't meet guidelines, and they were just rejecting me left and right. It was unreal. And so now my criminal complaint's going out. It's like, wow, they're actually marinating on this. So I like it.
Yeah, cool, man. What next move is to put them over the spit?
Yeah, I'm actually at step 4 now, where I'm now next week, because last week I finished that final criminal complaint. Next week I'm going to go into the district office, and the district court, and start watching attorneys.
Thank you. I'm gonna wrap this up now that you mentioned phase 4. The drive-by litigation course is a graduated course where you start on one particular foundation, and then you build upon it with phase 2, and then you build upon it with phase 3, and she's gone through those 3 phases. You heard her file with this agency or court, with that agency or court, pursue this remedy, that remedy, I've got criminal complaint. The next one, phase 4, is to show the bean counters for the municipalities that your people have gotten you into a lot of trouble, and I'm going to sue you for all this. When you hit them in the wallet, you don't want to hit them with a feather. This is your moment you'll see in the movie Jack Reacher, where he says, remember, and it stops the guy in his tracks. He's moving toward Tom Cruise. He's going to start the fight. And Tom Cruise goes, remember, you asked for this. And then just kicks the snot out of the guy in like a couple seconds. And so you don't want to go to the bean counters with a patriot movement philosophy or something. You want to have them soup to nuts, engaged in criminal misconduct nobody can refute. The reason being, probably the municipality is insured against tort. That means they answer to an insurance group. The money is always the one that does the talking. When you threaten the wallet of the insurance group with your conduct that's been established as municipal policy, because everybody knew about this, you didn't do a thing to prevent it, the bean counters sense tort exposure. That's when risk management protocol is triggered. You don't trigger it with a little standing outside with a picket sign saying, I'm going to sue you, kill the judges. Okay, you have to prove none of them should have their jobs. And that's what she's done. So now she's going to go to the bean counters. And once she has her claim for damages for X number of millions of dollars in hand, stamp received by the county, the city, whatever, now she can go to the radio station, scan it into PDF, send it to the newspapers. Now it's political too. It's not just her in the handcuffs and the sheriffs who don't care. Suddenly it's, right. Are we going to keep our jobs over this or what? That's phase 4. Phase 4, as you can sense through this process, 1, 2, 3, and 4 have tenderized the meat. The meat is the wallet. Can I open the wallet with this, or do I have to sue you in federal district court? That should be enough to at least get them to stop what they're doing to avoid more tort exposure. That's what the lawyer from the insurance company should tell them. But it's also to tenderize the meat so that when you get a lawyer to sue for all of this, all they have to do is grab the roast, raise it up over their head, and throw it down on the chopping block, and bam, money will fall out. You're doing all the work the attorney would otherwise have to do to help you sue the municipality. I'm putting the municipality on a footing that is so destabilized that the lawyer can come in and knock them over on accident. And that's what thank you, Oregano. That's what the drive-by litigation course is about on wevgov.com. Listen to her attitude and how much it starkly contrasts with what she was going through for the 3 years before she got my courses. That right there. It's not Dave telling you. It's somebody that actually did what Dave suggested, and instead of deep, dark clinical depression with which I'm intimately familiar, she's laughing and prowling for public servants to feel like it makes them give you that look when you come into court. She's got a bad attitude.
Yeah. It's
cool.
nice knowing what to say, and knowing research and all that case law. And, like for my research, I knew that saying, oh, I need a public defender, I knew that would get them. It was great, just knowing how to get your stuff done and, getting it stamped and then having all those judges' names right on the front.
In capital letters.
In capital letters. Like I said, it's going to be a trip when I go on November 13th. So, but thank you.
Okay, well, hey, Chris has business. Chris has business to get to. It's the top of the hour, so I'm going to close it out. Thank you so much for your comments. Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, darling, I just emailed you a gentleman's phone number. I think he's fallen in love with you. He wants to talk to you. No, he's on the calls every week, and he wants to talk to you. He's a great guy from Chicago. You'll enjoy talking to him. You have a lot to share.
Thanks, everybody. I'm out of here.
Okay, well, there's one question from California, Dave.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, let me get him in.
Thank you, darling.
Okay, Gary. Okay, go ahead, guy. California.
What's up? It's me, just Donaldson here, Jeremiah from Northern California, asking about shifting the burden of proof. It sounds like the success that the drive-by litigation course offers is kind of showing how to shift the burden of proof from being defendant to claimant or to plaintiff. Is that what I am to interpret? Is one of the core benefits?
There's a particular case that I draw upon for this maxim. It is a maxim because the law is first, and that's the case of Portillo versus Commissioner, Portillo. And I'm going to have that cite for you here in just a second. A wonderful case. A guy told the IRS, hey, I paid this guy $24,000 to paint my building. And he only paid the guy $13,000, but they presumed that the guy that filed the 1099 was truthful, and they went and reamed Portillo with a levy for all that amount. And they said in this case, the introduction of evidence to the contrary shifts the burden of proof. The presumption of correctness, here's how the maxim reads. The presumption of correctness disappears upon introduction of evidence to the contrary. And they were talking about the Commissioner of Internal Revenue. Here's the case site, Fifth Circuit, 1991. So this is an appellate case. 932 Federal 2nd, 1128. 932 Federal 2nd, 1128, Fifth Circuit, 1991. And
the call's being recorded, right?
Yes, a wonderful case. And if this is the one that says, but we have no ligaments of fact, nothing to bind him to the thing except his 1099, and he's got records they never even considered that shows he wasn't paid that at all. And so they really reamed the IRS. And it underscores my suggestion is that don't study cases the government won. It's good to study a few. Study the cases the government lost. I want to hear the government got its ass kicked, and I want to know what it has in common with my case every time. So this is a great case where the IRS got its butt kicked. Portillo versus Commissioner. Portillo.
Is that in the chat? Can you chat it?
Okay,
Can you
everybody.
type it in the chat? Hey, will you mind typing that in the chat room for me?
Here you go. Bingo.
Yeah. All right, excellent. Thank you.
Everybody, have a good night.
Okay, good night.
Good.
Good night, Dave. And I like to, I like to say that, darling, I really appreciate, because here's evidence. I get a lot of people call me, and oh man, I can't do that, and God, well, Dave is so sharp. He knows, he knows what to do. Well, before you went to school when you were a kid, you didn't know what to do. You went to school to learn to do what you needed to do. And here we're always learning. I mean, at 70 years of age, I'm still learning, okay? And so we just got to keep you got to keep an open mind. You got to keep learning, and he has it all laid out for us to go ahead and follow a template, if you will, of exactly what to do and how to do it. And you just got to get the cojones and stand up. And they're only people. They're man and woman just like you. They put their pants on the same way. They sit on the toilet the same way, unless they're, that's male and female. If there's an X, well then, who can tell what's going on? But the thing of it is, it's, nobody has to go in there and, like Rambo, it's all a matter of business, and treat it as a business. Don't get angry. Don't let your emotions control you. Let your emotions guide you through I like to think through the trouble, not in the trouble and stay in it, but through it. See what you're going to accomplish at the other end by doing what you need to do from this end. And Darling had taken the initiative years ago before she met Dave, and had the heart to do what she thought was the right thing to do. And it was the right thing to do. She just didn't have all the tools, functions, and features to get it done correctly. And now she's writing complaints to the same people that used to say, this is frivolous, this is, no good, and we ain't going to listen to you. And now she's using statutes, regulations that they have to abide by, and have Supreme Court decisions that support her allegations. They don't have allegations that they're in support of. So it's, this is a good, I appreciate everybody how little they do or how much they do. It doesn't matter as long as you're moving towards the direction of being on the offense, and I think that matters quite a bit. Now there's somebody, Cameron 57, on the call. I don't recognize it, so let's see